Hi and welcome to another Views from the Valley, your roundup of the news here in the United States, coming to you from the v3.co.uk offices in San Francisco. With me as ever, Sean Nichols. Hi Sean.
Hi Ian.
Right, okay, busy news day, but the top news of the day for me is Firefox 4 is at last available. It's been through so many betas that we've been covering over the last couple of months, and it's finally out there. And is proving insanely popular. I've just checked the stats and we're approaching 4 million downloads in the first couple of hours. So it's looking like this beats Microsoft's Internet Explorer.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we were kind of joking about, is that Microsoft really bragged about hitting, what was the number they hit?
They've hit 2 million downloads in the first 24 hours, and Mozilla's just like...
Yeah, Firefox is beating that pace significantly. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, Firefox does have that automatic update system, whereas Microsoft, you've got to go download it and install it yourself. So it's going to be a little better, but this really is storming ahead in terms of take-up, and especially when you consider that Europe, which is one of Mozilla's biggest markets, is currently asleep, and there aren't going to be that many people downloading. I'm expecting a big hit tomorrow when Europe wakes up. So, I mean, in terms of the actual browser wars themselves, this is Firefox's, if you like, chance to really put a killer punch on Internet Explorer.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll ever be able to really, put their foot on the throat, just because Internet Explorer ships with every copy of Windows you get, so it's always going to be out there. But at the same time, I think they're really doing a great job of getting the word out there that Firefox is a very good browser, in a lot of ways better than Internet Explorer. And I know people say Microsoft really did a lot to close the gap with Internet Explorer 9, but it's still not as good. It's still a lot of areas where Firefox still outperforms it pretty significantly.
Well, true. I mean, the other thing with IE 9 is that you can't use it on the bulk of Windows machines out there. That's with Windows 7, which is a bit...
It's a bit embarrassing for Microsoft, I think, but...
Yeah, you'd kind of want the browser to be used on the majority of your systems, but we should keep a lookout on it anyway. Now, sticking with new applications, Amazon announced today that they're launching their Appstore, or one word, and that's important, and we'll come to it later, for Android. So basically this is the first marketplace where you can buy Android applications that have been independently tested for malware, so hopefully we can avoid the situation that we had last month where we got malware apps already in Android Marketplace. Now, of course, Amazon is having a little bit of trouble with this because yesterday Apple announced that they were going to sue over the use of the word App Store. So just for reference, Apple's App Store is two words, App Store. Amazon is App Store, all one word, for Android, and I think that's going to be the basis of their legal case.
Well, we'll see. We'll also see how the case with Microsoft turns out. Keep that Microsoft is trying to block Apple's patent on the term App Store right now, and well, maybe Amazon didn't do them too many favors by making App Store one word, but
either that or it'll come in on Microsoft's side and say, well, look, you can't copyright the phrase App Store.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it affects that, but I mean, in general, it's interesting to see Amazon come in and kind of offer this, sort of a third-party service, and then, as you mentioned before, as far as how, the screening process will go, and as far as getting quality apps on there without letting in malicious things. I mean, this is something that Apple took heat for it. At the same time, they're looking fairly smart after this latest saga with
to my knowledge, they've only had a couple of dodgy applications up there.
And they've been very quick to pull them down.
They were ripped straight out. And to be fair, Android as well, with the infected apps on Marketplace, did go through and actually pull them off people's handsets. Which is quite handy, but I think it's going to appeal more to the prosumer, to the IT manager who wants to be able to buy and say to his board, no, seriously, this has been checked. So about 4,000 apps up there at the moment. We'll keep an eye on this, and for developers, another route to market. So all well and good. Now, in terms of the other news this week, the hangover from the earthquake in Japan is still causing major problems, and you've been covering this.
This is a problem that was cited a few days after the earthquake, but it's starting to become much more apparent now. Obviously, Japan's a hotbed for so many of the big companies, so many component manufacturers, that sort of thing. And one of the companies that was cited was Apple. There's talk about general shortages, things like flash memory is going to be in short supply, sort of other things. But one of the big companies whose name was Apple, because it's believed that a lot of the manufacturing for the battery pack for the iPad 2 is done at facilities in Japan, and the design of the battery is such that it's not very easy to just switch this over to another company, find another manufacturing partner to do this.
Well, this is it. With the iPad 2, they just shifted from a 3-cell battery down to a 2, I believe, which is very, very slim and enables all the great portability of that platform.
Exactly.
But yes, very highly specialised, and it's not something you can buy off the shelf.
Well, and it's interesting because it might test some of the theories that were circulating earlier in the year that Apple has been kind of hoarding components. Or so they bought a ton of displays. I don't know how many, what they do as far as batteries go, but if they, actually ordered a backlog of these, then they might be able to weather it a bit better than if they're just, trying to get shipments as they come in.
Well, I was reading from one of the UK stories on this, and they were saying iSupply had been, just before the earthquake, was talking about there's a real danger here, companies are ordering their components, and we're going to be facing this glut, and prices will crash. And then a lot of firms are actually looking quite smart about doing that at the moment, although it's pure chance, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
We wish the Japanese all the best, obviously. It's a very difficult situation out there, not just from an electronics standpoint. You've got rolling power outages in Tokyo. I think it's manufacturing over there is going to take a hit for quite some time to come.
Yeah, there's the economic hit, the manufacturing hit, and then, of course, the human toll on this. I'm sure
it's the worst of it.
It's got to be devastating right now.
Indeed. And then finally, in terms sticking with the tablet theme, as it were, then you've just covered a report that Nokia is not quite as closely in bed with Microsoft.
Yeah, this is something that seemed it kind of took me back a bit at first, but you look into it and it makes a lot of sense. Basically, a report surface now that Nokia is saying we're not really sure who we're going to go with for our tablet system, and there's a chance it's not going to be Microsoft. And the more you think about it, the better and better the chance gets, because Microsoft basically has said we're not going to do a system that's optimized for tablets. It's really going to be run very well on tablets until Windows 8, which is due in late 2012, 2013 at the that's the time when they're shooting for right now.
It'll probably go RTM late 2012. That's what I'm hearing.
So obviously Nokia, they have said they're going to be cautious with entering the market. They're not going to get into the market just for the heck of it. But at the same time, they're going to want to have something in there before late 2012. Obviously, so yeah.
It's interesting because it syncs in with what was said at the HP Strategy Summit last week, where the head of HP was really quite clear. He said, we're putting WebOS on all our stuff. That's fine, but we are quite happy to ship tablets with a Windows operating system. And this was the kicker: when they provide us with an operating system to do it, which
that
was
seems
about
to be
as clear as it gets.
right now.
Windows 7 is not ready for tablet.
Right now, if you look at it, obviously you're not going to be able to license iOS from Apple.
Nope.
And I guess there's talk of MeeGo maybe, or some of that. But for the most part, Android is really the choice right now. And a couple of the analysts we spoke with kind of said this is where they should probably look to kind of seize the market right here. This is where they really need to step up and kind of make this work, because there isn't going to be a big window for to have this kind of access.
Yeah, no, the Phone 7 deal we've discussed obviously at length on the site and on these broadcasts. But when it comes to tablets, Windows just isn't there yet. They can't afford to wait. I think MeeGo's looking likely. Android, I can see Microsoft kicking up a stink about, because one of the whole points of their deal was reportedly to block Nokia from going along into the Android market.
One thing that's possible is that they you ship your first generation with Android on it, and then when Windows is ready for tablets, then you just switch back over to Windows. That's something that's something that I've heard that is quite possible and might be likely to happen.
Well, this is it. And the wild card in this all is, of course, the WebOS platform, because if HP actually turn out a decent tablet when they release it, this summer, then I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I haven't heard a lot as far as how willing they are to license it and kind of put it out. This is obviously something that was promised for protection.
They want to put out the largest ecosystem out there with WebOS, and the only way I can see they're doing it is by partnering with everyone under the sun and pushing the platform out.
Well, and what they're doing right now is leveraging their PC market share.
Yeah.
And that's possible. I think that seems to be what HP wants to be, is they don't want to be... yes, they want to be a huge hardware vendor, but they also want to do what companies like RIM and Apple do, and maximize that by having your own software platforms to go with it.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting, the tablet wars. We've had the iPad 2 in the office now for a week or so, and we've been tossing it around, and everyone's very keen on it, but it does need some competition in the market, and we should be watching that with eagle eyes. Anyway, you can read more about these stories at www.v3.co.uk.